What happens when a successful CEO discovers that her billion-dollar beauty empire might be built on lies? Let's dive into the story of Katherine Blackwood, whose courage to face the uncomfortable truth not only transformed her company, but revolutionized an entire industry's approach to transparency and authenticity. Katherine Blackwood never planned to disrupt the beauty industry. Growing up in a modest Portland home with a biochemist mother and herbalist grandmother, she spent her childhood surrounded by the scents of essential oils and botanical extracts. Her mother's basement laboratory, filled with testing equipment and specimens, became her playground, while her grandmother's garden served as her first introduction to the healing powers of nature. By 2020, her company Pure Essence had grown from a small garage laboratory into a $1.5 billion beauty empire with over 300 products sold in major retailers nationwide. The press called her the Queen of Clean Beauty, and her brand's promise, Pure Beauty, Pure Truth, became synonymous with ethical, sustainable cosmetics. Pure Essence was celebrated for making high-quality, natural beauty products accessible to everyday Americans, earning devoted customers who swore by their transformative results. But as Pure Essence expanded, Katherine found herself increasingly disconnected from the day-to-day operations. Quarterly earnings consistently exceeded Wall Street expectations, and her executive team proudly showcased their operational efficiency metrics. Yet something felt off. Consumer complaints about skin reactions had started trickling in, and despite their perfect sustainability scores, environmental watchdogs were asking pointed questions about their supply chain. The breaking point came during a late-night scroll through social media. A video from a small organic farmer in Vermont caught her attention. He claimed that despite being listed as a Pure Essence supplier, he'd never sold ingredients to the company. Katherine's blood ran cold. She personally remembered selecting his lavender farm as a supplier 3 years ago. Using her background in biochemistry, Katherine devised a plan. She sent samples of Pure Essence products to 3 independent laboratories, comparing current formulations with the original ones stored in her personal archive. Meanwhile, she began working undercover as Elena Martinez, a documentary filmmaker exploring the darker side of the sustainable beauty industry. What she uncovered shook her to her core. The premium organic rosehip oil in their best-selling serum had been replaced with a cheap synthetic substitute. The signature Alpine Bloom Complex, once carefully harvested from small family farms in Oregon's Cascade Mountains, now contained mass-produced ingredients from undisclosed sources. Even their 100% natural certification was based on outdated audits and manipulated documentation. But the most disturbing discovery came during her visit to their main production facility in Sacramento. Under the guise of filming her documentary, Katherine witnessed workers dumping unmarked barrels of ingredients into mixing vats. When she asked about source documentation, the production manager casually mentioned that they had streamlined the verification process to meet growing demand. In the employee break room, she met Olivia Chen, a quality control specialist who had been trying to raise alarms for months. The original testing protocols took 3 days, Olivia explained, her voice barely above a whisper. We're lucky if we get 3 hours, but every time I file a report, it disappears somewhere. For the next week, Katherine spent the entire week thoroughly investigating. She found a complex web of shell companies supplying ingredients through various intermediaries, making it impossible to trace their true origins. The revolutionary preservation system they advertised was actually a cocktail of synthetic preservatives, cleverly renamed to sound natural. Their famous farm-to-face program, meant to support small-scale organic farmers, had largely become a marketing facade. The next morning, Katherine called an emergency board meeting. She walked in wearing her Elena Martinez disguise, then slowly removed her wig and makeup as she presented her findings. The boardroom sat in stunned silence as she showed test results, photos and documents revealing the extent of their deviation from Pure Essence's founding principles. "We've betrayed every customer who trusted us," she declared, her voice unwavering. "Starting today, we're going to rebuild Pure Essence from the ground up, not just as a beauty company, but as a beacon of transparency in an industry built on secrets." The transformation would be the most ambitious in the company's history. Katherine launched Operation Glass House, a complete reinvention of their business model. They developed the industry's first blockchain-based ingredient tracking system, allowing customers to trace every component in their products from source to shelf. Pure Essence invested $50 million in creating an organic ingredient collective, partnering with small farmers to ensure sustainable supply while guaranteeing fair prices. They built state-of-the-art testing labs at every production facility, with live-streamed quality control processes visible to the public. A new mobile app allowed customers to scan products and view real-time batch testing results, ingredient sources, and environmental impact data. The consequences were immediate and severe. The stock price plunged 40% when they announced a recall of 80% of their product line. Several board members resigned in protest of the reckless transparency initiative. The media questioned whether Katherine had lost her mind, sacrificing a profitable business for an idealistic crusade. But Katherine stood firm. She appointed Olivia Chen as Director of Quality Control, creating a new department with unprecedented authority to halt production at any sign of irregularities. They implemented a source-first policy, requiring executives to personally visit and verify suppliers before approval. Most importantly, Katherine returned to her roots, spending every Friday in the lab, developing new formulations that were both effective and truly natural. The transformation cost over $180 million in the first year alone. Profit margins shrank as they shifted to more expensive verified ingredients. Some longtime customers were outraged to learn their favorite products had changed. But slowly, something remarkable began to happen. A community of skincare enthusiasts started documenting their experiences with the reformulated products. While some reported less dramatic immediate results, they noticed healthier, more balanced skin over time. Environmental groups praised Pure Essence's unprecedented transparency, with Greenpeace calling it the new gold standard of corporate responsibility. The blockchain tracking system revealed surprising insights about ingredient sourcing that helped optimize their supply chain, eventually reducing costs while improving quality. Their organic ingredient collective became so successful that other beauty companies began purchasing from it, creating a new revenue stream. 18 months after Operation Glasshouse launched, Pure Essence's stock price had not only recovered, but reached new highs. Sales were up 28%, driven by a wave of consumers drawn to their radical transparency. The company's new app had over 2 million active users, creating a community of engaged customers who felt personally invested in the brand's mission. More importantly, Pure Essence's actions sparked a revolution in the beauty industry. Competitors were forced to respond to growing demands for transparency from newly educated consumers. Several states passed clean beauty truth in labeling laws, inspired by Pure Essence's disclosures. The company's blockchain-based tracking system had become an industry standard that other brands seeking transparency have adopted. Katherine's grandmother's garden now serves as the testing ground for new botanical ingredients, while her mother's old laboratory equipment is displayed in Pure Essence's headquarters as a reminder of their roots. She still occasionally goes undercover, but now it's to visit their partner farms and celebrate their successes. Today, Pure Essence's new motto reflects Katherine's challenging experience. True beauty begins with truth. Her story reminds us that true leadership is the ability to find the courage to face uncomfortable truths and the strength to put principles before profits. In an era of growing consumer skepticism, Katherine Blackwood has proven that transparency is not only ethical, but also good for business. Business magazines still write about Katherine Blackwood, but now for different reasons. Not as the creator of the fastest-growing beauty empire, but as an entrepreneur who had the courage to sacrifice everything for the truth, and ultimately redefine the very notion of success. In an industry built on illusions, she dared to make transparency beautiful. So what's the biggest lesson? Sometimes the biggest risk isn't in admitting your mistakes, but in pretending they don't exist. And as Katherine showed us, when you have the courage to embrace the truth, you can change more than just your story. You can change an entire industry. If you found this story of honesty and transformation valuable, be sure to subscribe for more inspiring stories of leaders determined to make a difference in the world. Remember, every great change starts with one person who has the courage to stand up for what's right. See you soon.